Most guitar players get stuck playing the same thing for months, years, or even decades, playing the same thing without much growth. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5-step system that will allow you to break through this and really get ahead of most guitar players. Step 1 is the most important step because it lays out a foundation for the rest of the steps. There it was. Let's pretend this is 14-year-old me. I was struggling to play the simplest of songs. At times, it was quite frustrating, but with enough practice, I managed to get some of these beginner-friendly songs down. First, I learned songs with just open chords. Then I eventually learned songs with bar chords, which took me some time to figure out. But with persistence, I got there, and it was worth it. Practice songs that you find interesting that are just outside of what you can play now. And it'll stretch your abilities, and you're going to be failing and making mistakes, but that's actually where the growth is going to be taking place. Although step 1 is important and should be practiced continually, we're really just at the beginning here. In step 2, I'm going to show you something that anybody can do that can really take your playing to the next level. As I started using a capo and learning other people's guitar solos, I felt like I didn't have GPS service on an unfamiliar hike. I just didn't know exactly what I was playing. Eventually, I learned about these 12 notes of music. And what really helped me see things more clearly on the guitar was this technique. Start by learning the string names. An easy way to remember the string names, if you don't already know, is Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. And those notes are E, A, D, G, B, and E from the top down. So the next step would be just pick a string and walk up. So that looks like this. So it's like A sharp or B flat, B, C, etc., etc. C sharp or D flat, D, D sharp or E flat, E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat, all the way back to A. On the 12th fret, it just repeats. So it'd be A sharp or B flat, B, so on and so forth. So if we look between the B and the C and the E and the F, you'll notice that there is no sharp or flat note. So anytime you're doing this exercise, just be mindful of that. I have an acronym that is Big Cats Eat Flowers, just to remember where that's happening. Okay, so over some time and some practice, I could name every note on every string. But this would have been completely useless if I didn't learn what was to come. In step 3, I'm going to share with you guys something that I learned that made me a much better player and also made me fall in love with the guitar even more. I was thrilled because my friend invited me on a houseboating trip with his family and friends. I brought my guitar, and one of his friends, Zach, also brought his guitar. We played together, and what he taught me ended up really helping me, and I think it could help you guys too. He taught me a simple chord progression, and once I got it down and was playing it, he played a guitar solo over it that I thought was the coolest thing ever. This wasn't a planned guitar solo either. He was creating it on the go. Improvisation, as it's called. I asked him what he was doing, and he showed me the pentatonic scale, or at least a piece of it. Eventually, I ended up studying the 5 pentatonic shapes and the pentatonic scale in general, which is just a very beginner-friendly scale that's great for just getting started improvising over simple chord progressions. Now, that scale is super useful, but by itself is pretty boring. The next thing I learned made my improvisation better, more interesting, and made me an all-around better player. So this was actual 14-year-old me. I would teach surfing, go home, and practice guitar. This was during summer break. Once I learned the pentatonic scale, I wanted to get good at soloing. I recall seeing John Mayer using the pentatonic scale over a simple 3-chord blues progression. To me, he sounded like a god. Check it out. Now, clearly he's playing some pretty gnarly bar chords, and also his right-hand technique is out of this world. But he is really just playing the D7 chord, the G7 chord, and the A7 chord with the D minor pentatonic scale. The 7 after the chord means that it has an extra note that makes it sound more bluesy. In the 12-bar blues, there's always only 3 chords being played in a predictable order. So, each day I would come home from the beach and I'd put on the incredible blues album B.B. King Live at the Regal, and I'd practice soloing over it with the pentatonic scale. After a summer of doing this almost every day, I felt pretty confident about my ability to solo over the blues. And I came out the other side with the ability to hammer on and pull off and bend strings, which came in handy as I started practicing other genres of music. But I still knew next to nothing compared to what was to come. What I'm about to show you was a complete game changer for me, and I honestly wish I'd learned it sooner. A few summers after that, I was still playing guitar frequently, but I decided I wanted to write music of my own. The only problem was I didn't know what chords sounded good together, and I really just didn't know where to start. Eventually, I found out the major scale held the key I was looking for. Here are the notes of the C major scale, for instance. These notes can be turned into chords when you apply the pattern major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. So, the chords within C major, for instance, are C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. You could take these chords and combine them together and find that it sounds pretty good, and you could write a song with them. So I learned how to repeat this process with the major scale, the minor scale, and the 5 other modes. So once I learned this, I was in a pretty good spot, but there's still much more to come. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. I'll see you guys later. Bye for now. Peace.